So looking at their PBs when they're up to date on speedrun.com, they are only like 3 minutes away from each other. So it's actually it might be a really close race. Like I hope so. Really
Hopefully it
exciting.
is. And we're already started off, and GDTog is in the lead by 1 room. And so the main mechanics of the game are jump, which is jump, not too much difficulty there. Climb, which you climb up a wall until you lose stamina, and dash, which is the most abused thing in the game, which you just saw right there. And so both are equally as on the actual part. So right now we're going to be looking at Forsaken City. And so do you want to find out what the or do you want to introduce the mechanics in here, Relvoy?
The mechanics are as follows. So you have these wait a second. So the refresh crystals just give you your dash back. You have springs that just push you away from it when you touch it. And yeah, so what you try to do in the first chapter is a lot of wall bouncing. That is when you dash in the like up at a wall, and you could just wall kick or grab it. When you dash up and then jump, it will give you a boost upwards.
Alright, so now we're getting near to the end of the level off of Zinpars, who is only 1 room ahead of GDTog, who is coming up close behind. And right here, here's a nifty little shortcut with a neutral kicks going up to the actual and GDTog finishes first. Quite ironically, since Zinpars was ahead by a couple of seconds until he started retrying at the end of the level. And so we are now on Old Site, which introduces 3 main new mechanics, which are dream blocks, which they just kind of blast you through at the speed of light. We also have Battlein and the doors, the weird doors that I can't really explain, where you hit like multiple coins, I guess, and you
lock switches. You
Yeah.
just touch the switches and then it unlocks the door.
Your audio is a little low. So now we're on the Battle and Chase. I forgot to tell you about the Battle and Chase. Battle and chases you at a 3-second interval, and you just kind of run away from her as to not get killed. And this is the longest room in the level, which is a really hard room, let's just say that. It's long, too, so... Couple of deaths from both players, but none too taxing. And so GDTog finishes up and goes into the Awake section.
Yeah, that's just a section where you really have to have great movement with your with the different dash types, and a lot of people in the beginning struggle to get those really to get consistent at a certain pattern. So that's a really hard section to get good at.
And so now Tog is coming up onto the Celestial Resort Hotel, which we'll just say this right now, it's the hardest level in the game. It kills everybody. And we have another 3 main new mechanics, which are doors and keys, which just act as they should, a door and a key. We've got dust bunnies, which will kill you on impact. The wall tendrils, which become dust bunnies after touching them, and you can't go on them again.
Really important in chapter 3 is everything is based off of cycles, which also, and there are also different cycles when you die. So you in some screens that are really long or where you tend to die often, it's really important that you also know the death cycle to get through as fast as possible. Better is when you
As long
just
as you know both cycles, it works out.
yes. So there's a lot to know about in chapter 3. It's also the first chapter which is a little bit longer than the others. Like the first and second or fourth is not as long, and so yeah, it's one of the harder levels for the early game, I would say.
And Tog is now on the huge mess, which introduces another 3 minor mechanics, which are just these jelly blocks, which clean up the mess. And that's all the 3 minor mechanics, because they're the 3 jelly blocks. That's pretty much it.
So there is a defined order we do that, because when you are finished with cleaning up one section, you have to go to talk with Oshiro, the hotel manager, and he's also at a certain position. So like when you see the second section is finished, you just drop down and you're immediately at Oshiro's feet, and you can immediately talk to him.
Once it's because the positioning of Oshiro is not based on anything. It's just we use the positioning of Oshiro on the the second and third ones to our advantage, because we just go bottom, top, and then middle, I believe, because it's just the fastest, because Oshiro's position is just right there. He also proves to be a hard mini-boss. And now Tog is just about finished with the huge mess, and he's going to get the key to the next section. Zinpar is lagging behind him by a couple of screens.
So
I mean,
coming up is the elevator shaft, where you just make your way to the suite where you want to actually house for one night. And
it's a small window of error, especially if you're on a entrance cycle. Ooh, and Tog is on the weird key glitch where you go to the end of the room and then retry in order to get back to the start, because it's just faster that way. You don't want to go all the way back from the top. Unless you're like Taskbot or something like that. And now Tog is on the Oshiro fight, which is Oshiro based on your Y values or your up and down values will attack you when his lightning strikes.
Yeah,
And
so
some of
he
these
just
rooms are really brutal, essentially, especially since some of these rooms are extremely long.
yeah, and also with the cycle, it's really hard when Oshiro locks onto you, and then you have to sometimes wait when you don't have like the best cycles or
In Tog with a
tactics.
couple of unfortunate hits on the horizontal dash chamber. You know which one I'm talking about, the one filled with refresh crystals.
Yes, I I have difficulty too with that. You really have to time it really good to get to the end of the room.
Yep, and Tog is now finished up with Chapter 3 and moving on to Golden Ridge, or Chapter 4, which I guess I'll have you introduce the 3 major mechanics for.
Yes, so there are these clouds that makes you bounce really high, and the later you jump, you get boosted a lot higher than when you jump when the cloud is lower. There is also like these directional platforms which get triggered when you cling onto them or when you go onto them. You can also control it when there is a button on it or on the side of it. And the last major mechanic is the wind that pushes you like like that you get even more stopped or get boosted to the right.
Yep, there's also the green bubbles, which we also forgot to mention. So essentially 4, but we kind of missed out on that opportunity to say. The
Yeah.
green bubbles just boost you a dash length. And GDTog going for the wall bounce maneuver in Shrine. That's the checkpoint he is on currently, and Zinpars is now on to Golden Ridge as well. It looks to be that GDTog might PB, depending on if he gets his summit correctly, which is Chapter 7. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but yeah. And so now the directional blocks come into play. Some of them don't use multiple directions, others do. Depends on what kind of shape. Not shape, the way that it looks on the screen. And now GDTog is in the wind section, which most people hate. There's also snowballs, which they boost you if you hit them on the head, but if you hit them anywhere else, they kill you. But it seems like Tog has been practicing this section, especially.
Well, I could understand that. If you don't have the right strats for some of these rooms, you are really long. You have to really have sometimes a bit of luck to get through them. So it's better that you have your strats going on.
We forgot to mention that this game has 0 RNG. Or, well, tries to have 0 RNG.
Yeah,
Some
well,
of it
it's
is
not.
just based on your X and Y positions, and it may look random, but it's not.
It's not random, but sometimes lucky when you're not on your when you're not convenient what you're doing, and then sometimes you just get struck from the snowballs.
Yep. And now Tog is moving on to Chapter 5, or Mirror Temple, which is a ton of fun. It has the most broken skips in the game, and it has 4 or 5 major mechanics. We have the dash blocks, which every time you dash, the blocks move. We have red bubbles, which will go on for infinite time until they hit a wall or you dash out of them. Or die, but we don't talk about that. We also have switches, which open doors, and seekers, which come up after a couple of segments. We're still way behind that. And Zinpars is now into the snowball section, which is good because he's only a couple of minutes behind, probably minutes.
Yeah, I would say like 2 minutes maybe, but yeah, everything could happen at this point.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's a race.
Oh, and Tog with an unfortunate death. Especially on this multiple red bubble section, the one with the ninja stars going around. I don't know what to call those things. I call them ninja stars.
I think that fits. Well, you know what you immediately know what you want to say, so
Yeah. And now we get to see the Seekers for the first time, which they're giant eyeballs that come from statues. And they want to kill you. And they lock onto your X and Y positions and travel towards you. You can really abuse this by hitting switches with them.
yeah, so you try to bait them into these lock switches in some rooms then you don't have to get them yourself.
Yep.
Also, when you kill them, they respawn with a shockwave, and the shockwaves also triggers the lock switches. What you will see in some rooms that gets really that's really good for you.
And we saw an example of him baiting. Yep. And now we saw an example of him baiting the actual thing to get attacked by yourself and use the momentum from its dash in order to actually hit the eye switch, whatever they're called. He missed a couple of the switches, so I guess maybe that somewhat makes it easier for him. I don't know. And we're coming up to the biggest skip in the game, which is the search skip. It skips around 3 minutes. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes to 3 minutes. I don't really know.
And Tog does it on first try, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, what you have to do is just a reverse dash jump to cross over these spikes, and then you're good to go. Else you have to get 2 keys and to make the way open for a red bubble to travel, but you can just skip that.
And now we have to carry Theo. Which, this section in itself can be really annoying, especially since you can't dash with him being carried. But you can let go and dash, so that way you can boost yourself with some speed.
Yeah, you throw him, and then you dash and try to catch him again. You can do that with a dash jump or with a hyper dash, but it gets really hard when you want to do some good movement with Theo.
Can you do the spike clip? This is what I'm wondering.
No, I can't do that. That's really hard.
It's almost frame perfect, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, you mean when you're too fast for the game, I guess, you just travel through the spikes because the game isn't fast enough to actually
The game
see
doesn't
that you
know-
were in the spikes.
It doesn't see you in the hitbox. It's kind of
Yeah.
like Mario's block glitch, which you can just clip into a block. It's very useful in some speedruns. But I don't... No, he didn't do it, so... It's not gonna save too much time, but it's...
I just think it's not RTA viable.
If people can get the timing, it might be. And now we're moving on to Reflection, which it doesn't have any strawberries, which means it's all lore based. And it also has only the 2 collectibles, which I'm not going to say. We've got the Golden Feather, which it moves you in any direction for a given amount of time. That is, if you press the analog sticks or whatever. We've got the Kevin blocks, or Crush blocks, as most people call them. Which, if you hit them in a certain direction, they move on for infinity until they crash into something, or until they just get tired.
So, Tog just did a really impressive skip called Lake Skip, where you dash up on that lake, and then you just do a tricky roundabout,
it's a
on
weird
the side
wall,
of the spikes.
wall bounce where it's not really hitting the spike, you're really hitting the wall underneath the spike.
Saves
And
about
Tog is now
4
onto
seconds,
the
I think.
hollows section. Or not hollows. And you can see why we call them Kevin blocks, because the sound designer Kevin, he just made it a row.
Yeah, that's basically what he did. But it sounds really funny, and I really like the sound design.
And Zinpars is now moving up onto Reflection. Very close race, same chapter, but I think Tog is probably going to win this if he doesn't choke on Summit.
Happens
or the
too
battle
often
invite.
to some.
Oh, right. Oh, the bumpers. I forgot to talk about the bumpers. They bump you into whatever direction you hit them in. It can give you a lot of speed though. Oof, Tog now on a death spree. And going for the bottom path, which is commendable. It's a much easier path, but it's not. It's certainly not the fastest. Usually we go, speedrunners, we go for the fastest route. But sometimes we go for the easier route because it's just much easier for us, as why it's called an easier route.
Yeah, it's just worth it more when you are not comfortable with the other route who's harder. So at Talk screen you already see this reddish hair looking thing, and when we get to it there will be a small fight which is one of the funner parts, I think, with cool music and really hype sections, rooms that are really hard, and also with movement that's really impressive.
Ooh, and he got caught on Battle and Boost, which is it's a rough trick to do.
Yeah, so basically you want to
Use the
do
momentum from the Kevin block in order
yeah.
to actually get
to
through.
just fly directly to Badeline. So here's the Badeline fight. She just charges lasers or charges these balls that hit when they hit you. You just die and have to retry the room. And when you just hit her, she goes away, and you have to hit her again and all over again to get through the fight.
Yeah, and we see that Babylon has two major attacks, her laser beam and her balls of lightning. In the next section, we actually get to see that she moves the blocks around. And what we call her in this phase is just angry battling, not raging battling. Zinpars is coming down near to the battle and fight himself, so definitely a close and very good race to see today. Ooh, and Todd getting crushed by one of the blocks that I mentioned earlier. Zinpars gets caught on a ledge himself, so they both messed up Battle and Boost a little bit. I'm predicting Tog's time is going to be around low to high 36, which is probably his PB as of this moment.
Yeah, I think he has a really solid run, like not a lot of fails, and really just good execution.
Absolutely, I agree with you here. Zinpars His PB is 3 minutes behind or ahead. I don't remember. I think it's behind, based on execution from Reflection, the battle and fight right now. And Tog is. I forgot to talk about level up. So, level up is you get a second dash. And this is the main mechanic in Summit, because it just drives together all of the previous chapters into one. We start off with Reflection since we came to the bottom of the mountain. And then we work our way through. It was Forsaken City, Old Site, and then the rest coming from there.
You also have a good visual cue for the 2 dashes, so when you have 2 dashes, your hair is pink. When you lose 1 dash, it's red. And when you made your last dash, it has blue hair. And when you, and then it just gets recharged to 2 dashes again.
Yep. And now Tog is on the Forsaken City part of this. And we see that he is blazing through, actually. Not too many deaths. So, I was surprised, because when he was actually streaming before this, he was having a little bit of trouble on this section in general.
I really do think that a race atmosphere you really focus hard and just try to concentrate, and then you just get really good. That's what happens to most of the runners. That's why we get a lot of PBs during this tournament.
It starts off with, oh god, I'm going to lose because jitters. And then it comes to, okay, focus on game. And now Tog is on the Old Site section, with Zinpars just leveling up just now, so.
It's just interesting how the summit shows how the different mechanics of the game, but now with 2 dashes, which make the rooms really interesting and show how much you can do with the different mechanics.
It was a very interesting aesthetic, but it turns out to be a bolstering tactic in this case, and it makes the game all the more fun. And if you guys don't even have, Celeste and are just tuning in for the first time on here, welcome. And also, buy the game. It's just an amazing game. Also, thank you to our Speed Gaming patrons for hosting it on here, on Speed Gaming. So, subscribe or follow them. I don't really know. Just do it. Subscribe and follow to all of them. They're so good.
So 2 dashes and cycles really hard.
But it seems Tog is not having too much trouble blazing through the Celestial Resort Hotel part with good speed, actually.
Yeah, also Zinpars now at the bottom of the mountain. Coming up is 500 meters for him too, so...
Zinpars is coming up onto the Forsaken City part, so that's always a good thing. And Tog is now on the Golden Ridge part, so they're about he's about 3 sections ahead, roughly. Will he do the auto-scrollers skip? It saves, is it like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
It's around there. And now Zinpars is on the section where you get boosted by battling into Old Site.
So he got it first try without a problem.
Now GDTog is going to be coming up onto the Mirror Temple section of Summit. Which means he's almost done with the entire summit. Now there's, what is it, 2 skips? There's door skip and then there's key/bubble skip.
Yeah, so coming up at the 2500 meter, we have a small skip where we like coming up in a few screens where you try to skip a small section where you actually have to get to a bubble, but instead we just do 2
neutral wall bounces.
Wall kicks, and then we get to the key and we retry to with the key, and then we just can unlock the door.
And Tog is just about to come into door skip. I don't think he's gonna. Nope, he's gonna do it. Or not. And this is a joke for all the viewers here. The run is now not verifiable. It's a joke because everybody who does door skip, it's a joke to say that it skips 9 million years, but in reality it only saves about 2 seconds.
Yeah, if even, I think it's like 1 second. But when you fail it, you can, like at the second door, you lose 5 seconds or so. So actually it was not viable until they fixed something like more pixels to get through the door under it, and then it was more viable. But I don't think it was only for that they did a change, but there was a change.
It's because the room to do the actual skip is 3 to 5 pixels, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think frames has to do anything in that case. And Tog is now on the 3,000 meter section, which surprisingly earlier he was choking on it, and now he's getting through it like the beast he is.
He's hunting for a PB, I think. He's like, it comes like across that he really wants it.
He really wants it. I think he wants a sub 1045 summit. Blazing through these checkpoints like they're nothing. Jesus. Even TGH would be proud.
Yes, the legend himself.
The task bot himself.
Yeah, to put it that way.
That's another joke, if you guys were wondering. He's coming up onto checkpoint 9, which is a weird checkpoint. And skips checkpoint 8. It's probably fast. It's actually faster that way.
Yes. There is actually not... Only when you're not comfortable with your flag 9, it's really no reason not to skip flag 8, because like flag 7 is right behind it. Just one bounce with the cloud and you're there already, so we just skip some flags.
He is on checkpoint 3. He is hunting for that PB. Checkpoint 2. He might actually PB and win. Checkpoint 1, and if he doesn't die here, he'll probably PB. And Tog with a 36.58.
That's really
53.
impressive.
Incredible.
Really good summit. Yeah,
Wow.
like I think he's really happy. He did it.
He's excited to do this race because this was the best race today, probably.
Yeah, it was really close.
Will we get a interview from Tog?
Yes.
And Tog is going to come into the interview.
In the next few seconds. But looking at Zinpars, he's also having a good summit so far.
Yep. He might actually also PB this race. And whenever Tog is ready, we can take him. What's Zinpars Summit as of right now? It's a... Oh yeah.
So here we have him. GDTog is here for an interview. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I
You seem to be very happy.
Yeah, I'm still shaking.
So, we saw that throughout the entire race, you kept a very steady and fast pace. Why was that?
That's a dang good question. I have no idea why today was a good day for me. I had a really, like, a horrendous Chapter 5 by my standards. And I think after that, I just kind of told myself, all right, you need to play as good as you possibly can. And I mean, I beat my Summit PB by 30 seconds, and that's the only reason I PB'd. So, I mean, yeah, my late game was incredible. My battle and fight was really good. Summit was flawless other than the one death. I think that was a one death Summit, actually. And the one death was me trying door skip.
Wow. Beautiful.
So, like I already mentioned, you seem to be hunting for that PB. Like, you came across the really concentrated and just don't want it to choke the summit. So I think that came across very good, I think.
Yeah, I was definitely... It's been for the past... goodness, like 2 weeks. Since the tournament really started, I've been trying to PB... Not just, like, obviously, I just wanted to PB, not necessarily in a race, but, like, while I was streaming on my own, too. But it just seemed that I kept choking at the end of the run, like, whenever I was on PB pace and whatnot. But, I mean, I really can't say much about this other than I had a really, really good summit, and that's the 100% reason I PB'd for sure.
Well, it was an absolutely great run, especially since that summit was just incredible.
Thank you.
Believe what I was seeing.
So Zinpars also at flag 1.
And Zinpars is finished. and with a 40-32, which is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Will Zinpars be joining us for an interview as well? We will see.
Yeah, and that was a 2-death summit for me, by the way, just to respond to the question I asked myself earlier. I had 1 death in 1,000 meters that I forgot about, and then, yeah, 1 in trying door skip, and then the other one was the intentional one.
So Zinpars also joining us here. So how do you feel about that race?
Hello. It was okay. I mean, he had a better PB, so I'm not too sad that I lost.
You were on.
But it was fun.
You were very close to PB, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So now we saw that you had a lot of deaths on Summit.
Yes, I think so.
Was
My
it
late
just
game is
because-
not that good yet, so yeah.
Were you deconcentrated, or were you just, I don't know, it was really close to your PB when the one on speedrun.com is up to date, so maybe there was a lot of hype in you, or...
Yeah, it is my PB, so I was 10 seconds behind at the end. Or yeah, now I'm 10 seconds behind. I wasn't too hyped, I think. Like, there were many stupid mistakes and also deaths in long rooms. So yeah, I can definitely do better.
Yeah.
I mean, nerves definitely play a big part in all races.
Yeah,
in the
especially in
tournament.
races. Yeah.
And not only that, but like it's being race streamed by Speed Gaming, so that just kind of adds on to it. And then you realize that you're on PB pace going into Summit or something, and you just get in your own head. So yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah, but really good that you are consistent at your, like, it was only 10 seconds from your PB when I'm right, I think so, yes.
Yeah.
And so when you just a little bit more consistent, and then you also can PB a lot of more often.
Yeah, I'm still learning new strats and trying to get consistent at those. So I still expect that I die a lot.
I mean, GG's, man. Like 10 seconds behind your PB, like in a tournament race, that's nothing to be like, disappointed in at all.
Yeah, it was really good from
It's a very
both
good
of you.
race.
Yeah, it was an amazing pace, but we're probably gonna have to cut this short right now since we've done another race.
That's totally okay. In
Uh,
which I will be sticking around for.
Yep. And so, my name was Gamesy Dreamer, and I was joined with Relvoy, and we will sign off as of right now. So, see you in the next race or so. I don't know.
Enjoy the next races. Bye.
Bye bye.